Again, this is JC, the Fantasy Football Explorer, doing daily fantasy for week 2. You can catch some of my articles on medium.com. I did one for week 1 of daily fantasy. So here we are. We're going to go into week 2 for YouTube. Let's get into it. Okay, for week 2, the big thing is don't panic yet. Things are always crazy in the first 4 weeks of the season, especially game 1. Teams are still settling in. Some players are rusty from not playing during the preseason. So the biggest takeaway from week 1 is do not panic. Now they have Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. They didn't have the best of weeks. Those are kind of like ride or die players. I mean, you just got to stick with them and hope they come around. You're not going to start Zach Wilson over those guys. So don't panic. Do not spend all of your free agent budget on Tutu Atwell. It's just 1 week. You still have a lot of time. So let's get into some of the plays from last week that did not work out for me so well. Lamar Jackson, I'm big on him this year. I thought he would do a lot better. That kind of hurts. Sky Moore. Well, I'm sorry about Sky Moore. I have to put him on my bench until I see a little bit better Kansas City offense. I think he was targeted twice and had 0 catches. That's pretty bad. And DeAndre Swift. I'm big on DeAndre Swift this year. That was a really bad game 1. Let's hope he comes around. Those Eagles coaches can be a little scatterbrained sometimes. I mean, one season, Miles Sanders doesn't get hardly any red zone carries. And then the next season, they more than double his red zone carries. So some of these players, they were bad in week 1, but you take your shot. You pay your money and take your chances. Okay, there were some players that I actually got right, believe that or not. In daily fantasy, I had CMC, Christian McCaffrey, and people would say that's chalk, but in daily fantasy, you got to pay for the better players. You have to pay more. So you just have to hope that the juice is worth the squeeze. And he paid off big in week 1. Also Calvin Ridley. I wasn't expecting too much from the Colts. In fact, the Colts played better than I thought they would, but Calvin Ridley came up big for me. Brian Robinson. I got shot in the buttocks. Brian Robinson did pretty well and even caught a touchdown pass, if you can believe that. So one of my deep sleepers, tight end Logan Thomas, 4 catches for 43 yards. Not too bad, but considering some of the tight ends out there, some of those tight ends, I had real problems week 1. A couple of wide receivers that I was fortunate enough to highlight were Zay Flowers and Rashid Shaheed. Zay Flowers for Baltimore, Rashid Shaheed for New Orleans. Had pretty good week 1s, and I think you can still get them at good value in daily fantasy. The cost for them is not too much. So that was week 1, the hits and the misses. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, for week 2 in fantasy, 3 quarterbacks I recommend are Derek Carr, Jared Goff, and Justin Herbert. Now keep in mind that for the Saints and Panthers game, that the Panthers have one of their starting corners out, could be out for a few weeks, J.C. Horn. So I like Derek Carr, and I think the passing attack looks good this week. Also keep in mind the receivers Olave and Shaheed. I also like those as well. Going to the running backs, CMC again. Again, if the juice is worth the squeeze, if the price is too high for you, you don't have to go for him. David Montgomery, surprisingly, looks like the #1 running back in Detroit. I wasn't sure about Detroit on the road, but now they're at home hosting Seattle, and we don't know if Seattle has their act together or not. David Montgomery, and then also Nick Chubb. I'm not sure what the Steelers are doing. Chubb could have a big game there if the Steelers don't figure it out. Going on to the wide receivers, I already talked about the Saints. I also like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, if the juice is worth the squeeze. I like Jalen Waddle. I figure Bill Belichick will try to focus on taking Tyreek Hill out of the game. That should open up Jalen Waddle in New England. I like Zay Flowers again. I like Stephon Diggs. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be fighting mad, and they're going to pound the Vegas Raiders when they come in. I also like Darnell Mooney. I think DJ Moore in Chicago is taking the heat off Darnell Mooney, and Fields is already familiar with him. He caught a touchdown pass in week 1. He might get some numbers here in week 2. As far as the tight ends, Travis Kelce is back. I'm pretty sure he's going to play this week, listening to the way people are talking about it. I think you can take Travis Kelce. I'm very confident he will play. Mark Andrews also. I'm a little hesitant about these hamstring strains, but I think he'll play. And I'll go with Logan Thomas again. Logan Thomas is the NFL's version of Mr. Glass. I mean, he could injure himself breaking wind, but if he's healthy, good chance he could put up some numbers. Okay, and just to finish up here on the back end of Daily Fantasy, 3 defenses I recommend: the Saints, the Bucks, and the Browns. Again, I'm not sure if the Steelers are going to figure it out just yet. I don't like their OC, Matt Canada, in Pittsburgh. Maybe they can get it together, maybe they can't. And then if anyone's looking for a kicker, you might find Jake Moody on the waiver wire. I don't know if people know about him. He's the place kicker for San Francisco. You might be able to find him on the waiver wire in your leagues. And then for Daily Fantasy, you know, when it comes to place kickers, if the offense scores a lot of points, then you like that kicker. So those are my recommendations there. Okay, that's all it is for today. Keep in mind that you can check out some of my articles on medium.com. And good luck to everyone out there this week in Daily Fantasy, and good luck in your regular leagues. And remember, it's a jungle out there, and stay safe.